All right, well, today I actually wanted to analyze these two different swings. I actually have a unique way of swinging. I really believe that you should have an extended left hand. And I wanted to take the chance to actually show you guys what happens when your lead grip is a little bit too strong. I'm going to take one of my absolute favorite golf swings, Henrik Stenson. He is an incredible ball striker. He's had an incredible career, but he has that strong left hand, a lot like Dustin Johnson, a lot like a lot of players that you know. I wanted to compare him against Bryson, a guy who actually has a more neutral lead grip, and show you very specifically how it affects impact. Because very, very rarely do they talk about how that lead hand will have a defining impact on your impact position. So let's get into it. Henrik Stenson fan, but I really do believe that there's this real flaw, and that lead hand is a big, big culprit. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I got Henrik up here. All right, so let me just draw out this shaft angle. So now, a lot of the greatest players ever in history were able to return that club shaft to that line. We're talking Ben Hogan, we're talking Joe Durant, we're talking Nick Price, we're talking Gary Player, the list goes on and on and on. And so I'm a big fan of being able to return that club to that position. Now, his lead hand grip is a major, major problem in my opinion. So let's go ahead and first just look at what happens in his action. One of really great ball striker. I wouldn't say he's a Ben Hogan or as consistent as Gary Player was, but a really good ball striker, hits the ball really hard. So you can immediately see that club's coming slightly from the inside, and you can see that his impact is higher than this. And look, he couldn't have gotten it any lower. Take a look at how close his right elbow is to his hips. So he couldn't have gotten it any closer. No way. And so then, just to kind of give you guys an understanding, let's go ahead and throw a line up right there, and we can see the way the club's coming through. His hands are driving down that line, and the club's exiting a little out, so that would be a Stenson little pinch draw. He is a good player, he manages this well, and then, I love to do this, so let me go ahead and do his front on, just so you guys can see how stable of a swing he has. Great players have very stable golf swings, and he is no different. Let me go ahead, I will draw a little circle around the head, and you will see that there is not very much motion. He goes back, it is literally still in that circle, and then he attacks forward actually. But as you can see, from beginning to end, no more than about 2 inches of movement, and never back, forward, and that's why you see him as one of the best ball strikers on the tour year in, year out, and he's been a very, very good ball striker. So let me guys show you what I'm talking about when it comes to that lead hand, because here is address right here, okay? See that strong lead hand right there? You see if you can, so it's a strong lead hand. Now, look at this at impact. And remember that the best players in history are attacking it at the same angle. So there's impact compared to address. Do you see how that lead hand is now completely released? Okay? It's completely released. And, oh shit. There we go. And you can see that there is been created a left shoulder to club head relation. A straight line with a released left hand. Now that's what everybody does. You can't create the kind of speed that Henrik Stenson creates without doing that. Okay, so you can see definitely the massive difference between address and between impact. And then if you look at him down the line, you can see the difference between address, right, and then impact. And you can see he's trying to return it to a similar line, but he runs out of room right there. Okay, so now let's go to a different kind of swing. We got Bryson, right? Okay. I'm so glad that the whole power discussion's over because Bryson's obviously creating ball speeds of 190 plus. All right, so let's go ahead and throw that shaft. You can see immediately he has a little bit more space. And while I don't agree with everything that Bryson does, you can certainly see that his impact position is substantially closer than substantially closer to his address position than obviously Henrik Stenson's, right? So I want to show you guys where the real magic is in it. There's two spots where there's real magic going on, right? There's his address position. You can immediately see more space. So remember in transition, on his downswing, how Henrik was like running out of space? Well, he's running out of space too, right? Oh, interesting. But why is he not higher? It's because he sets up with enough space at address so that he can snap those hips, and those hips will come out into his swing, but it doesn't actually have to throw his shaft angle offline, right? Very, very few people have done this in history. Some of them are Gary Player, Nick Price, Ben Hogan, Lee Trevino, Bryson DeChambeau. The list goes on, and guess what? They are supreme ball strikers. Joe Durant, they sometimes do it in different ways, but their body creates enough space for them to be able to return that shaft to the original address position. Now, I will get into my theories a little bit more, but let me finish my point here, showing you Bryson from front on. Okay? So let's take him back a couple steps. Now, look at the address position, right? He already has his relation between his lead shoulder and that club head set up at address. So my point is if you take him from address to impact, it's going to be substantially closer. And don't you want less motion? Don't you want less of a change? Wouldn't you like to say, okay, I'm feeling pretty close to what impact is right now. Go back, you return to impact. They say that your muscle memory, like your what you can feel, has about an 8-second window. So your muscles have like an 8-second spatial memory, right? So he is feeling very close to what impact is going to be like. And then he goes back. And the only difference is he moves a little bit forward into it. But what I want to show you is the difference between his left shoulder and that club head has not changed at all. So once again, I want to go back. Here we go. You have the reference between the left shoulder and that club head, right? That is at address. Then you go to impact. Reference to that left shoulder to that club head. It looks identical. The grip looks identical. The club head looks identical. The club head to lead shoulder relationship looks identical. Then you go ahead. Where's our boy? I really like this player. He's great. Henrik Stenson is absolutely great. But let's admit, this is not the same thing. So there's the setup, right? You go right down that shaft angle, and then let's go to impact. There's impact. Take the club head right up to the left shoulder. So everyone is going to impact here. But only certain people found a way to set up the way they're going to impact. Ben Hogan's the same way, Joe Durant's the same way, Nick Price is the same way. The list goes on, and guess what? All those guys, they won using their ball striking. Now, Henrik Stenson's a great player, but what I'm saying is there's a flaw here, and the flaw is that these guys are not impacting the way that they're setting up, right? Whereas guys like Ben Hogan, guys like Joe Durant, guys like Mo Norman, guys like Gary Player, and guys like Bryson DeChambeau, they have found a way to set up in a very similar manner to their impact position. So there's less variance. Less variance probably means more consistency. And I'm so glad that the BS about not enough speed with this technique of having an extended left arm, it doesn't change your sequencing at all. So if you become 240 pounds, guess what? You can have 195 mile per hour ball speed. So it's just complete crap. And here's showing it. And so I just really wanted to show the difference between kind of a more standard good ball striker like Henrik Stenson and a slightly more outside the box guy like Bryson DeChambeau. I can't wait. I got to get a few more good videos of Ben Hogan, of Joe Durant, of these like Hall of Fame ball strikers. You got Lee Trevino, Gary Play. I can't wait to get some of these on the computer. I'm going to break them down. I'll show you compared to kind of more regular PGA Tour players, and I'll show you that I really believe the best way is if you have less variables between your setup and impact. And I feel like statistics have shown that. They've just won so many majors. All right, guys, well, to finish off this video, in no way do I mean disrespect to Henrik Stenson. I'm using him actually because I love his golf swing. But even a great ball striker like that, I wanted to show the flaw in this standard style of swinging, this idea that you like hang your hands down and that's where you're going to impact. You don't impact it there. And I also wanted to show how there are some golfers through history that have found a way to impact in a very similar position to their address position. They just have a little bit more rotation. And those people have proven that they will absolutely tear up the competition with their ball striking. I think Bryson is doing it now, and it's really, really impressive. But I do believe that it's happened for decades. You have the Gary Players, you have the Lee Trevinos, you have the Ben Hogans, and they weren't always dominant in speed, even though Bryson's proving that it can be dominant with speed. But they were dominant through consistency, and it just makes sense. If you set up closer to the way you impact the ball, of course, the less variables is going to lead to more consistency. Anyways, if you like this video, this is something that I just wanted to do, please go ahead and give the thumbs up. If you like some of these videos I have coming out, please go ahead and subscribe, click the notifications buttons. I do live streams all the time. Other than that, guys, I hope all is well.